Hi, I'm Dooley. I was introduced as Deputy Superintendent on the slides, but really I'm coming to you as what my sons would call me, a teacher. I've been teaching teachers for the last 17 years, and I've been conducting research on what makes effective classroom practice and good learning. So I ask you, what makes good instruction? Would you know it if you saw it? I'm going to talk to you about what you should see and hear in classrooms when there is good instruction, and one strategy that we can use to help teachers get to this point. So first, this is how classrooms should sound.
Let's talk about the story. What did you think, Nick?
I thought it was really good because I thought they said we can do it.
Oh, tell more about that.
I thought they said they could do it, and they did. And the bear thought of it.
They were thinking they could do what?
Pull the bear and make him go for a ride. But it still didn't work, so a bear came up with an idea, and he got out of the wagon and he pulled it up to the top of a hill, and then they all got in, and then they went for a ride.
Yeah, so when you said he could do it, what did you mean by that?
I meant that they kept trying and trying and trying.
And they never gave up, huh?
Yeah.
So was it a good idea that solved the problem?
Mm-hmm. They solved it, and they all got to go for a ride.
Yeah. And what solved it? How did
I can do it.
It was a nice idea that you thought about, that they believed that they could do it. That's like in our anthology, that all the books we read about characters that believed they could do it. And if you really believe it and you practice, and you can come up with a solution, and you can do things. That was interesting, yes.
I think this is a funny book because the bug in this picture, he faints.
Which one you want? Because I can't see which picture. Yeah.
He faints, and he's trying to pull it.
It's just a tiny little bug trying so hard, huh? Yeah. And they're going down a hill, so they're going fast.
So I wanted you to notice a few things about what that teacher did. You heard authentic talk. She was asking honest questions. She was wondering with them. She was asking them to clarify their thinking. Authentic talk in the classroom sounds a little bit like counseling. She's asking the students to become independent meaning makers. She's not telling them the answers. She's not asking questions with answers that she already knows, usually. She's asking them real questions and asking them to pose real questions back to her. This is much like language nutrition. It should sound familiar to you. That serve and return that we talk about with babies who can't wait, and now with first graders, it continues, it progresses, and that's how learning sounds. As we verbalize our understandings, we offer them up to the teacher. The teacher takes those services and returns them, prompting the student to think more. One thing that I want to be sure you understand is what it doesn't look like. This is sort of like what to eat and what not to eat. It should not look like what we call IRE, initiation, response, and evaluation. In research on classroom talk, this was the pattern that is often noted, and this sounds like a child offering, or a teacher offering a question, a child answering, and then the teacher saying, yes, you're right, or no, you're wrong. What happens then is the child then looks to the teacher for thinking. But really, when we're establishing a learning environment, we really want to coax learners to think for themselves. So we really want authentic talk. So this is what instruction should look like. But before I tell you about what instruction should look like, I want to congratulate you, every one of you in here, because you are literate. That's how you got here. So what does that literacy afford you? You can read emails, probably too many of them. You probably read the news, whether in a newspaper or online. You may read wikis for information. You may watch television. You may watch movies on Netflix. You may even have time to read a novel or write a blog. Those are literate practices in our society. And when we think of literacy, we think of reading and writing. We think of speaking and listening. And we also, especially now in a digital society, we think of viewing and representing as part of being literate. So when we think about being literate in society, instruction should look like what it means to be literate in society. One interesting thing is that if you were literate in society at the turn of the 19th century, you would be deemed functionally literate if you could sign your name as an X or not. So imagine how far we've come now when we think about what makes us literate. We have higher milestones. Funny. Anyone who knows the DOE, we just put out the milestones assessment. But we do. We have new milestones for what makes someone literate. If you look at PEARLS, PISA, the NAEP, those are international and national assessments. Literacy itself has changed over the years. Instruction should reflect those changes. So when I think of literate society and literate instruction, I think of literate participation. We want to engage children in the kinds of practices that we would see in literate society. In this third grade classroom, you're seeing children who are presenting their projects that they did. They had to read websites. They had to read textbooks. They had to write about their learning in their learning logs, which are like little diaries for learning. They had to record data about what they found. That too is a literacy practice. And now they're telling visitors to their classroom, they're speaking about what they learned. That's a literate practice. So when we look at good instruction in a classroom, it should look like literate practices. Notice what you're not seeing here. You're not seeing just decoding skills. When we think about decoding skills, that's one part of literate practice. So how do we get teachers there? Teacher collaboration. Teachers need time to think. The National Center for Literacy Education did a study in 2014, that they published in 2014, that showed that 36% of teachers reported having 30 minutes or less for collaboration. Those numbers are getting worse. 41% of teachers reported having 2 hours or more for collaboration in 2009, and now we're down to 18% having 2 hours or more for collaboration. The U.S. Department of Labor offers a reason for this decrease in time. Over 800,000 students in the last 5 years have entered into our public school across the nation. So we have more kids, we have fewer teachers, and we have bulging rosters. So in an effort to cover classes, oftentimes our districts are struggling to find the time for teacher collaboration. So I told you a little bit about how classrooms should look, how they should sound, and how we can get there. Now, I'll be the first to say teaching's not rocket science. It's more complex than that. I hope that you'll take these points and take them back to your schools, your communities, and your districts and advocate for time for teachers so that they can learn.